Bold One South Africa has just ignited a political firestorm by demanding that all cabinet ministers be screened against the National Register for Sex Offenders. In a country plagued by gender-based violence, this bold proposal strikes at the heart of accountability and ethical leadership. It challenges the status quo and forces South Africans to ask a hard question: are the people leading this nation fit to do so? As survivors cry out for justice and public trust in government continues to erode, BOSA's call could mark a powerful turning point. But will the ruling elite rise to the challenge, or bury it in silence? In a political environment where credibility is currency and integrity is under siege, Bold One South Africa, BOSA, has just drawn a line in the sand. In a bold, unapologetic move, the party is now demanding that all cabinet ministers be screened against the National Register for Sex Offenders, a proposal that is both a moral challenge and a direct blow to the political status quo. This is not just a headline-grabbing stunt. This is a litmus test for ethical leadership in a nation where trust in government continues to plummet and survivors of sexual violence still wait in vain for justice. What BOSA is proposing is revolutionary in its simplicity: vet our national leaders the same way we would vet a teacher, a childcare worker, or a volunteer at a youth camp. If you're going to hold power over 60 million people, if you're going to make decisions about justice, healthcare, education, and women's rights, then at the very least, the people deserve to know you haven't been found guilty of violating those very principles. It's a concept so obvious, so human, that its absence in our current system feels like a moral blind spot. At the heart of this proposal lies a terrifying truth about South Africa: this country remains one of the most dangerous places in the world for women and children. Gender-based violence is not just a crisis, it is a national emergency. Rape statistics rise with nauseating predictability, shelters are overcrowded, the conviction rate is dismal, and victims are often shamed into silence. Against this backdrop, the idea that those at the highest echelons of power may not be vetted for sexual offenses is not just negligent, it is outrageous. BOSA leader Musi Maimane has never been one to shy away from uncomfortable truths. Now, with this proposal, he is throwing down the gauntlet and asking Parliament, and by extension the entire government, one simple question: what are you hiding? If our leaders have nothing to fear and nothing to hide, then submitting their names for screening against the Sexual Offenders Register should be the easiest part of their job. But if there is resistance, and there will be, then the people deserve to ask why. This proposal is already rattling cages across the political spectrum, and for good reason. It forces transparency into a space that has historically operated under a thick veil of protectionism, privilege, and patriarchy. Far too often, allegations against high-ranking officials are swept under the rug, handled internally, or allowed to dissolve under the weight of bureaucracy. The idea that a sitting cabinet minister could have a record of sexual misconduct, or even a whisper of credible allegations, and still hold office is an insult to every South African who believes in justice. And let's be clear, this is not a witch hunt. This is not about targeting individuals for political gain. This is about establishing a baseline of moral fitness for those who claim to serve the public. It is about sending a signal that no one is above scrutiny, not even ministers with polished suits, high-level connections, and powerful titles. If we expect police officers to be screened, if we expect teachers to be screened, then why not those who craft the very laws that govern those professions? But the deeper genius of BOSA's move is its timing. South Africa is undergoing a reckoning. The public is tired. Tired of corruption. Tired of excuses. Tired of seeing gender-based violence used as a talking point during Women's Month only to be ignored the rest of the year. BOSA has tapped into that exhaustion and turned it into a call to action. This is not just a political move, it's a social justice battle cry wrapped in policy. And now, all eyes are on President Cyril Ramaphosa and his cabinet. Will they support the initiative? Will they step forward and willingly undergo screening? Or will they attempt to spin, deflect, and dilute the proposal until it's a shadow of what it was meant to be? Already, whispers within the ANC suggest discomfort with the precedent this could set. But discomfort is the first sign of accountability. This moment also places a spotlight on opposition parties who now face a test of their own. Will they align themselves with the principle of ethical governance, or will they retreat into party politics and defend the indefensible? This is the kind of issue that transcends ideology. It's not left or right. It's right or wrong. And silence, in this context, is complicity. The public reaction has been electric. Social media is buzzing with support for BOSA's bold stance. Civil society organizations have applauded the move, with many calling for even broader reforms, such as extending the screening to provincial legislatures and local governments. Survivors of abuse have come forward, some in pain, others in fury, all united in the hope that maybe, just maybe, this time something will change. But with hope also comes risk. If the government rejects this proposal or buries it in endless committee discussions, the message will be deafening: protecting reputation still matters more than protecting victims. And that would be a tragic, unforgivable betrayal. It's worth remembering that the National Register for Sex Offenders exists for a reason. It is not a theoretical database. It is a powerful tool designed to prevent known offenders from accessing positions of trust. Why then is it not being used at the highest level of leadership? Why do we expect more vetting from babysitters than from lawmakers? The dissonance is not only staggering, it's dangerous. This is a defining moment. BOSA has lit a fire under a government that has too often moved at a glacial pace when it comes to meaningful reform. Now, that fire is spreading. The people are watching. Survivors are watching. And the international community is watching too. In an era where transparency is demanded and justice delayed is justice denied, this proposal could become a benchmark for other democracies around the world. And that is precisely why it must not be allowed to fade. This cannot be just another headline. It must be the start of a new standard, one that says, if you want to lead in South Africa, your record matters. Your character matters. And your accountability matters. This is not the time for vague promises and empty commitments. This is the time for decisive action. The screening of cabinet ministers against the sexual offenders register must become law, not just an idea. And those who oppose it must be forced to answer a simple, searing question: why? So, what can you do? You can demand answers. You can write to your representatives. You can raise your voice. And most importantly, you can stay informed. Because silence is no longer an option. Integrity in leadership is not a luxury, it is a necessity. And if you believe South Africa deserves leaders who are not just competent, but clean, then now is the moment to say it loud.